Hi, and welcome to 10 Kids, 2 Docs, Parenting Insights from Pediatrician Moms. I'm Dr. Sylvia Bank.
And I am Dr. Vivian Carlin. We are taking a break from releasing new content in the month of August, but we have something special planned for you today. We went back through all of our old material and found some of our favorite stories that did not make the cut for episodes. So we're stringing those together just for fun. If you have time, we hope this just puts a smile on your face and is something fun to listen to for your day today. And we will see you again in September.
Yes, thank you for listening, and see you in September for season 2.
Welcome to the 10 Kids, 2 Docs podcast. Seasoned pediatricians and longtime friends, Sylvia Bank and Vivian Carlin have counseled thousands of parents and are raising 4 and 6 kids, respectively. Join these doctor moms as they incorporate fun and their combined wisdom and experience to share parenting insights for anyone looking for practical and trustworthy guidance. Please note that this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment from your doctor.
Okay, this story came up as we were brainstorming and talking about experiences with having children with ADHD. And I made a comment on our ADHD episode that we've released already that there isn't any story that I could tell that perfectly characterizes all children with ADHD. And there's also almost every story I tell could happen to a child without ADHD. So I think this next one, which stands as funny lore in our household, some of you will listen and think, oh my gosh, I can totally relate because I have a child with ADHD. And some of you will listen and be like, wow, I can relate and I don't have any children with ADHD. So I hope you enjoy.
No, it's a really good one. I hope you enjoy.
So let's set the scene. We're all sitting down to dinner. And my oldest son, who's a teenager, sits down at the table and he says, I have a topic I would like to discuss with the entire family present. And we're like, oh, okay. And he goes, well, last night I was getting ready for bed, which was probably after midnight. The rest of us are asleep. And I found a piece of poop in the trash can in my bathroom.
What?
And we all, yeah, right. We all like pause for a second. And I'm like, wait, the dogs, like what? And I'm like, wait, what? Clarify for me. And he's like, yes, there was a piece of poop sitting in our trash can. Like there's no lid. It was an open wastebasket. And if you can imagine, I mean, it's as if my older son has set mouse traps all around the table and just thrown a ping pong ball in. He knows, he is like smirking. He knows what he's just done. And the table erupts. And I'm immediately like, someone tell me now why there was poop in the trash can. The teenage girl is like, oh my gosh, what if my friends had been over and used our bathroom? You all are so embarrassing. I can never have people over again. Middle school son is like cracking up, thinks this is like,
of course. It's hilarious, right?
And the child who actually was the perpetrator is all of a sudden looking very cornered and is like, wait. I can tell you why there was poop in the trash can, which immediately, sets off another round of the ping pong balls flying. Right. So I'm like, everybody be quiet. I want to know why there was poop in the trash can. And this child starts and he's like, okay, mom, do you remember the drum set you got me for Christmas? And what he's talking about, if you can picture, it's like a little tiny like steel drum that, you can hit and it makes these really melodic notes. And he had gotten that for Christmas. And I'm like, no. I don't want to talk about Christmas. I want to know why there was poop in the trash can. He's like, no, mom, the drum you got me for Christmas. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about that. I want to know why there's poop in the trash can. He's like, mom, you're not listening to me. And I'm like, okay, at this point, my initial reaction has calmed down. And I'm like, okay, tell me about the drum and why there's poop in the trash can. And here's how the story goes. I was going to the bathroom and I dropped the drumstick in the toilet and I couldn't get it. So I had to take the poop out of the toilet and then I got the drumstick. And okay, the story, there are multiple points in that story where you just scratch your head and are like, what? First of all, like, why were you playing the drums while going to the bathroom? And then secondly, how did you drop the drumstick into the toilet? And then okay, I guess like taking the poop out to get the drumstick makes sense. And then, oh, okay, of course, like you retrieved what you were looking for, and then you forgot. This is so classic. You just forgot that the poop was still in the trash can instead of putting it back in the toilet. And I'm processing this whole story, and my first reaction is, wait, did you wash your hands? I'm like, and he's like, yes, I did. I'm like, I literally was like, could you just get up from the table right now and go wash your hands? Even though it's been a whole night and a day, like I am just not confident. I am not confident that you've actually washed your hands since this happened. So he got up and washed his hands. And then I was actually like, I I think you did a good job. You retrieved that, and I'm glad that you did. And there's a little bit of a backstory on this, and that's a couple years prior, we had a similar incident where the toilet got clogged. My oldest son reported it, tried to plunge it, couldn't fix it, got Eric involved, who tried to plunge it, even tried to snake it, couldn't fix it, had to call a plumber. The plumber had to take the toilet off, and basically we had one of those metal trick yo-yos that
Mm,
belonged to my older son,
mm.
and it was stuck sideways in the drain so that it was actually creating this completely metal seal on the toilet. And the entire toilet had to be like taken off to get that metal yo-yo out. And, that story, similarly, it's like, okay, the yo-yo was somebody else's. The yo-yo was being played with while using the bathroom, which doesn't make sense. The yo-yo gets dropped in the toilet. There's this initial panic of flushing it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, wait, what have I just done? I just flushed the yo-yo. And then in the panic of all this poor decision making, it's like, I'm not going to say anything. It's not even my yo-yo. Maybe nobody will ever find out it's gone. And it created this big problem. And so I had told this child then, hey, nobody's upset that you were using the yo-yo. Just tell us. Even if you accidentally flush it, just come tell us for help. Ask us for help. So at any rate, as I processed this story, this was actually not bad decision making. Dropping something into the toilet, that doesn't happen to me on a regular basis. I guess occasionally. I'm not like playing with, I don't know. Well, anyway, like we could question all of that, but he did take the steps to retrieve it, which was super important instead of flushing it. And he just forgot to clean up his mess so nobody would know. Um, and at some point in this story, as all of my kids are reacting to this story, I'm like, hold up, where is the poop now? And my older son, who discovered it, is like, well, I was definitely not going to touch it, so I just took the trash can and set it outside. I'm like, seriously, there's a trash can with poop sitting in it, sitting outside our door. Like, what?
I don't know if everyone has struggled with or had like to have a toilet plunged, snaked, and replaced, but we've had to have that as well in our household where, I think it was earlier on, when you get the little toothbrush from the dentist that's like Elmo or,
Yeah.
Frozen or whatever, like a little character toothbrush that's for kids. And my son, I think he was just interested in the toilet, but the Elmo toothbrush had been flushed down the toilet and it got clogged like you mentioned. And then, we had snaked it, plunged it, snaked it, couldn't get it out. And then we had the plumber come and they actually wound up just replacing the whole toilet, right?
Mm,
They spent like half a day on it, couldn't get
mhm.
it unclogged and replaced the whole toilet. I think this very much illustrates your point about how these situations could happen. Similar situations could happen in a household where a child does not have the formal diagnosis of ADHD.
Okay, well, I have a follow-up I want to say to this one about flushing the toothbrush down the toilet. The story that I'm about to tell, I think probably almost every parent has a story about that involves something getting flushed down the toilet.
How fascinating is the toilet flush for a child, right?
Yeah, these stories about the fascination with the toilet and things getting flushed down remind me of this special moment I had, not necessarily in parenting because I think I was frustrated, but in friendship because we were getting ready to have a group of people over to our house. They were all very good friends, but there was a family that was there a little bit early that were helping me set up. And in the setup, we discovered that one of our toilets wouldn't flush. And when we went to go investigate, there was some poop in the toilet, but there was very clearly the very edge of a wooden train coming out from the bottom. And so, of course, I told Eric, you need to go get that out. And he tried and he just couldn't grip it. Well, my very good friend who has very slender, long fingers said, I think I can get it.
What?
And sure enough, she reached in there and was able to put her fingers around that train and get it out of the toilet. And I still joke with her that that is just a sign of true friendship.
True friendship.
There should be some kind of Hallmark card that is like, I know that you're a good friend because you fished a toy out of my toilet while there was poop in it.
Okay, so this next story I think is a classic in our household that somewhat illustrates a frustration that can happen when parenting, where a situation comes up, someone is at fault for something and no one is confessing. No one is stepping forward to say, yes, I did it. And sometimes in parenting, you're kind of left with this unsatisfying feeling that maybe you'll never know. So I don't know if you've ever felt that way, Vivian, but here's a story that I told in one of our recordings, kind of illustrating that position as a parent.
Yes, the culprit is always not me. As you ask each child, did you do this? No. Who did this? Not me.
Not me.
Where is not me? And I think there's some stories where you never figure out who that is.
Yes. And honestly, as adults, I might re-ask the question because for this story, it's something that it's still a huge mystery to me.
I'm sure your kids have forgotten, Sylvia.
I don't know. It's a big one, so we'll see.
Well, I can't wait to hear it.
The story that I have is that we have a who pooped on the floor story.
Okay, I remember this story, Sylvia.
Yes. And the kids were younger, so we were earlier in our parenting. And, one day in the kids' bathroom, it wasn't in the trash can. It was literally in the middle of the floor. And it was like, we have a dog too. So it was like that first thing, like, is that the dog's? And the kids were littler. So it was like, who pooped on the floor? Why is there poop on the floor? And no one fessed up. We've actually never quite figured out that mystery. It's been, maybe 15 years, but given your story, I now have some suspicions on who the poop on the floor person was. And none of them, stone cold, would not admit to it. I even looked at my husband and he was like, it wasn't me. It was just like, who did this? I think I had that moment of parental rage where I'm like, I don't understand how this could have happened.
Yes.
And then I accused everyone in the household. I think I kind of lost it and no one fessed up. And to this day, it is still a family mystery. So I hope you've enjoyed this storytelling exchange of stories, just being parents and the trials and tribulations of parenting. Maybe you can relate to some of the stories that we've shared today, or maybe it just brought a smile to your face, we hope. Stay tuned next time. We have more bonus material in store. So until we start our season 2 in the beginning of September.
Yes. All right. Sounds good. This is 10 Kids, 2 Docs. I'm Dr. Vivian Carlin.
And I'm Dr. Sylvia Bank. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to 10 Kids, 2 Docs, hosted and created by Sylvia Bank and Vivian Carlin. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and recommend our podcast to other listeners. Visit our website at 10kids2docs.com, where you can find links to social media and leave comments or suggestions. Back next week with more topics in parenting.